Scorpio, what if the very people you once trusted are secretly the ones working against you? This message isn't a coincidence. It's not entertainment. It's a spiritual interruption timed precisely for your soul's awakening. There are two individuals in your energetic field, close, familiar, and cleverly disguised, who are quietly sabotaging your peace, draining your power, and distorting the path of your destiny. You may not have physical proof, but your soul has been speaking. You've been feeling tired without reason, emotionally heavy even after rest, mentally scattered despite trying to stay grounded. You've sensed it. The whispers behind your back, the shifts in energy, the odd misfortunes that follow after certain conversations. That's not your imagination. That's intuition. That's divine clarity breaking through. Scorpio, you were drawn here for a reason. Something inside of you, your intuitive compass, your soul memory, your ancestral knowing, has guided you here because you are ready to see what's been hidden. And as someone who walks through the shadows and sees what others try to avoid, you are not afraid of the truth. You're afraid of wasting time in illusion. Let me be clear. The betrayal is not random. These people saw your light and chose to dim it. They witnessed your loyalty and decided to manipulate it. And they mistook your silence for permission. But the season of silence is over. This message arrives as both a warning and a breakthrough. Not to scare you but to liberate you. Not to punish others but to restore you. You are being invited into a deeper level of clarity, where the veils are lifted and the masks removed. You are stepping into a realm where divine protection and energetic discernment will become your armor. This is your moment of spiritual sovereignty. Your soul kingdom is rising. And from this moment forward, no matter how familiar, gets to sit at your table unless they bring truth, respect, and integrity. Now, before we go deeper, let me take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every subscription you offer doesn't just support this channel, it becomes a thread in the sacred tapestry we are weaving together here at Miracle of the Sign. Your energy fuels this community and allows us to continue sharing these transformational messages with others who, like you, are ready to reclaim their truth and rise in their power. So if this message has found you at just the right moment, I invite you to ground your energy and engage with it. Leave a comment below to affirm your presence and your connection to this reading. Share what called you here. Confirm that you are ready to receive divine clarity. Because sometimes, the act of writing down our intention becomes the first step to calling in our healing. And trust me, Scorpio, you will want to stay with me until the very end of this video. What the universe is revealing is not only powerful, it is personal. You'll discover not only who has been working against you but why, and more importantly, how to protect your energy, reclaim your focus, and rise stronger than ever before. So take a breath. Center yourself. And prepare. Because the truth is about to set you free. Scorpio, you've always had a gift for sensing what others try to hide, those undercurrents in conversations, the shift in energy that no one else notices, the sudden weight in the air when someone walks into a room. This part of your story, the moment where the mask begins to slip from a familiar face, is not simply about betrayal. It's about recognition. It's about your inner wisdom rising to the surface to remind you, the truth was always there. You just needed the clarity and the courage to name it. What makes this moment so complex, so emotionally layered, is that the people involved are not strangers. They are individuals you once welcomed into your heart. You've shared joy with them, trusted them with your fears, perhaps even stood by them when no one else did. That's what makes this form of deception so difficult to grasp. Because it wears the costume of love. It mimics concern. It echoes loyalty. And yet, beneath the surface, there's a hunger to dominate, to dim your light, to siphon your power without ever giving anything back. One envies your radiance the way you enter a room and shift its energy with your mere presence. The other leverages your empathy, pulling at your emotions like puppet strings, making you feel responsible for their suffering, their chaos, their unfulfilled dreams. And here you are, trying to make sense of why you've been feeling so heavy. Why your finances feel like a roller coaster. Why you're always exhausted after talking to certain people. Why your goals seem to slip away no matter how hard you work. These aren't just coincidences. They are energetic leaks, subtle but strategic drains placed in your field by people who are close enough to access your vulnerability but not mature enough to honor it. When energy is being manipulated, it often hides behind guilt. You feel guilty for saying no, guilty for taking time for yourself, guilty for not being able to fix someone else's life. That guilt becomes a hook. It keeps you tethered to people and situations that chip away at your peace. But guilt is not the same as responsibility. And Scorpio, you are not responsible for the healing of those who refuse to take accountability for themselves. This is why your soul is urging you to pause, to reflect, to go inward and examine the emotional contracts you've unconsciously signed. Who benefits from your self-doubt? Who is always first to call when you're doing well but absent when you need support? Who leaves you feeling confused after every conversation, unsure if you're loved or manipulated? These are not random questions. They are spiritual inquiries designed to awaken your discernment. Self-help isn't always about action. Sometimes it's about observation. Journaling your dreams, listening to the whispers of your intuition, tracking the patterns of who drains and who uplifts you. This is sacred work. It's how you take inventory of your energetic environment and reclaim your power from those who have quietly taken it. And in moments like this, it helps to remember that even the most painful clarity is still a gift. Because it gives you choice. You no longer have to play a role that was written by someone else. You no longer have to sacrifice your emotional stability to preserve an illusion of peace. Peace that's built on pretense is not peace, it's imprisonment. You are being called to hold your truth like a sword, not to wound, but to cut through what is false. The real ones will remain. The rest will fall away. And through it all, you will not be alone. Even when it hurts. Even when your heart breaks. There is a quiet presence walking with you, reminding you that your worth was never tied to how much pain you could endure, but how courageously you could walk away from what no longer honors the light within you. Keep going. You're closer to freedom than you think. Scorpio, there is a reason you are known as the guardian of mystery and transformation. Your soul didn't come here for the surface. It came to go deep to pierce illusion, to uncover what's hidden, and to transmute darkness into light. That journey doesn't begin outside of you. It begins within. And this part of your path is about returning to the one voice that can never lie to you, your own. The presence of the High Priestess in your reading is not a coincidence, it is a profound invitation. She is the stillness behind the chaos, the gentle hush that comes just before revelation. Her energy is the subtle knowing that rises like a tide when something is off, but cannot yet be explained. That knowing lives within you, not because of your experiences, but because of who you are. You've carried it for lifetimes. In astrology, Scorpio rules the 8th house, the house of secrets, transformation, and the unseen realms. You are built for spiritual truth. But like all sacred things, that truth doesn't always come loudly. It whispers. It nudges. It pulls at the corners of your awareness. And when we're too busy, too loyal, or too afraid to listen, we override it with logic, excuses, or misplaced trust. Maybe you felt it standing next to someone whose words are warm, but whose presence makes your body tense. Maybe you've dreamed of drowning in dark water, walking through empty houses, or watching snakes shed their skin. These are not meaningless images. These are the soul's symbolic language. Your subconscious is not confused, it's calling you home. And when dreams become consistent, when signs repeat, when certain names or faces trigger waves of unexplained emotion, this is your intuition insisting it be heard. We live in a world that teaches us to validate everything through proof, but spiritual discernment doesn't wait for evidence. It feels first, then reveals. That's why this moment is about practicing emotional mindfulness. When your chest tightens, when your gut turns, when your energy dips after seeing a specific person, that is sacred data. That is guidance. And when you begin honoring those signals instead of dismissing them, you shift your life. Not by force, but by awareness. You create a field around you where deception cannot thrive, because illusion cannot live where there is presence. There's a quiet practice I want to share with you. Each morning, place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and ask, who is not being honest with me? Then breathe. Don't rush. Let the silence speak. You may feel a name rise up, a face appear, or simply a feeling of distance or unease. This is not paranoia. This is perception. And perception is the first step to protection. The law of attraction reminds us that we don't attract what we want, we attract what we tolerate. When you begin filtering your life through the lens of energetic truth, the things and people that no longer align will naturally fall away. That falling away might feel like loss, but it's actually freedom. It's your soul making space for better. There is wisdom in honoring your own emotional language, even when it makes no sense to others. Especially when it makes no sense to others. You are not here to make others comfortable. You are here to become fully awake. And that awakening often begins by realizing that some of the most beautiful words can come from the most broken intentions. You don't need to defend your intuition to anyone. You only need to trust that when your spirit speaks, it is speaking for a reason. The truth you feel is no less valid than the truth you see. So lean in. Listen deeper. And if something inside you has been whispering for a while now, maybe it's time to stop silencing it. And if this resonates with something you've been feeling, but ignoring, I encourage you to share it in the comments. Let your experience be witnessed. Because the moment you give voice to what's real for you, you begin to reclaim the power that illusion once stole. When cycles of pain repeat in our lives through patterns of sacrifice, guilt, or staying in relationships long after they have become harmful, it is often because something old, something inherited, is still speaking through us. Scorpio, your soul is a deep container, one that holds not only your personal history but the echoes of your ancestral past. This phase of your journey is not just about present wounds. It's about tracing those wounds to their roots, seeing where the burden first began, and choosing, finally, not to carry what was never truly yours. So many of us mistake love for endurance. We believe that to love someone is to tolerate their damage, to carry their emotional weight, to forgive endlessly without change. But love without boundaries becomes bondage. And that's what this moment is inviting you to see. You are not required to bleed for connection. You are not responsible for healing those who refuse to look at their own reflection. You don't need to keep proving your loyalty to people who only offer their presence when they need something from you. That's not love. That's emotional dependency disguised as devotion. When we inherit pain from generations before us, whether in the form of self-abandonment, people-pleasing, or guilt around saying no, it often shows up as a silent script running in the background of our lives. If I leave, I'll hurt them. If I speak up, I'll be rejected. If I say no, I'm being ungrateful. These are not your truths. They are echoes. And they lose their power the moment you name them. There is no need to demonize the people who taught you this, either. They were likely trapped in their own survival patterns. But Scorpio, the gift of your sign is transformation. You came here to be the one who ends the cycle. And ending a cycle doesn't require a war. Sometimes, it just requires a quiet, courageous shift, a simple act of choosing peace over guilt, alignment over obligation. In emotional healing, there is a practice called sacred separation. It's the art of stepping back, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Of choosing to love someone from afar if being close to them continuously costs you your peace. This is where your power truly awakens. Not when you force change in others, but when you choose change within yourself. Energetically, when you carry other people's burdens, your own dreams start to dim. Your body feels heavier. Your inner fire fades. You begin to second-guess your intuition, your path, your right to joy. That's why this step is essential. Because by cutting the karmic cord, by gently saying, I release what is not mine, you allow your spirit to breathe again. You allow your creativity, your confidence, and your clarity to return. There's something deeply healing about writing down what you're ready to release each day. Not to perform some ritual, but to make a declaration to your soul. When you pair this practice with intentional stillness, perhaps 5 minutes each morning where you put your hand on your heart and simply breathe, you begin to remember who you are beneath the patterns, beneath the pain. You are not someone's savior. You are your own sanctuary. The moment you stop trying to earn love through suffering, you begin to experience a quieter kind of love, one rooted in truth, not performance. You begin attracting relationships that don't ask you to prove your worth, only to show up fully as you are. You begin healing not just yourself, but your entire lineage, because the choice you make to end a cycle creates space for a new legacy to begin. Scorpio, you are not breaking apart. You are breaking through. Let this be the turning point where you return to yourself, not with shame or regret, but with reverence. What you're doing now is holy. It's brave. And it's necessary. There comes a moment in every healing journey when silence is no longer a sanctuary, and tolerance is no longer a virtue. Scorpio, this is that moment. After everything you've uncovered, after the illusions have crumbled and the energy leaks have been identified, what comes next is not confrontation but clarity. You are not being asked to fight. You are being invited to protect. And that protection begins with one sacred word: no. The Emperor's presence in your reading is not accidental. His energy marks a threshold. He doesn't shout. He doesn't beg. He doesn't negotiate with chaos. He simply stands anchored, resolute, unshaken, because he knows that the health of the kingdom begins with the boundaries of its gate. You, too, are being asked to draw that line. Not out of anger, but out of reverence for the life you are consciously choosing to build. Boundaries are not walls. They are invitations. They say, I know what honors me, and I welcome more of it. They also say, I no longer make space for anything that drains, confuses, or manipulates the peace I've fought so hard to cultivate. You may have been conditioned to believe that saying yes makes you lovable, or that being available to others 24/7 is a sign of being a good person. But goodness that costs you your well-being is not goodness. It's self-erasure. The truth is, people who truly love you will never ask you to abandon yourself. They won't twist your compassion into obligation. They won't turn your empathy into currency. If someone only reaches out when they need to be rescued, but vanishes when you're the one silently drowning, that's not support, it's extraction. Emotional extraction is a subtle theft. It leaves you feeling depleted, guilty for resting, unsure if you're selfish for simply needing space. But Scorpio, needing space is not selfish. It's sacred. Boundaries are energetic hygiene. They are the spiritual equivalent of washing your hands before touching your heart. And in the same way you wouldn't let muddy boots walk across clean floors, you must stop allowing messy energy to track through your mind, body, and spirit. This isn't about punishment. It's about alignment. And when you become clear about what's allowed in your life, you give the universe permission to send you more of it. One practical step you can take is to create what I call a sacred window each day. A time, even if only 20 minutes, where no one is allowed to interrupt your energy. Use it to breathe, stretch, write, or simply exist without being needed. This is not laziness. It's leadership. Leaders don't just give, true leaders know how to preserve their strength so they can show up fully where it matters most. Another tool is energetic protection through your environment. Crystals like black tourmaline or obsidian aren't magical fixes, but they are reminders. They hold dense, grounding frequencies that support the boundary you are building from within. Place them in your workspace, your pocket, or by your bed. Let them be silent allies as you move through the world with greater self-respect. And finally, ask yourself this: who in my life makes me feel guilty for being unavailable? Who only shows up when they need something? Who leaves me more tired than restored after every interaction? These answers aren't meant to create division, but direction. You're not judging others, you're discerning what is aligned. And that discernment is not a rejection of love. It's a deep, soul-level expression of it. So when you say, no, I choose peace, you are not turning your back on others. You are turning toward yourself. And in doing so, you become the gatekeeper of your energy, the architect of your reality, the sovereign ruler of your inner kingdom. Not out of pride, but out of purpose. That is what boundaries are. They are prayers made visible. And Scorpio, your soul is finally ready to be heard. When the sun and the tower appear together in a reading, the message is not chaos, it's clarity. It's the moment after the storm when the sky cracks open and light pours through in places you didn't realize had gone dark. For Scorpio, this moment is especially sacred, because your sign has long been the alchemist of the zodiac, the one who walks through fire not to burn, but to transform. You've spent so long navigating emotional fog, questioning loyalties, observing energies behind words, and sensing betrayals before they've even unfolded. And now, the truth that has lingered just beyond the veil is finally ready to be seen. This is the part of the journey where masks fall, not only the ones worn by others, but the ones you've worn to survive. The smile you put on when you were silently exhausted. The silence you kept when your intuition screamed. The loyalty you gave when your soul whispered, "Let go." The tower does not come to destroy you. It comes to destroy the illusions that no longer serve you. And the sun follows not to blind you, but to bless you with a new way of seeing, through joy, not fear. What makes this energy powerful is not that it's dramatic, but that it's clean. You may find that certain relationships end without explanation. Opportunities vanish without warning. Emotions arise without context. And still, somewhere deep inside, it feels like relief. Because those people, places, and patterns were siphoning your light, and now that light is returning to you. The mental fog lifts. The emotional weight dissolves. You sleep deeper. You smile more easily. And you begin to notice that your body, your finances, your relationships theory all shifting as a result of energetic realignment. Your physical well-being is often the first to respond when your spirit finally feels safe. Drinking warm water with lemon in the morning isn't just a ritual, it's a declaration. A decision to cleanse not only the body, but the emotional residue stored in the liver, where unexpressed anger and resentment hide. Supporting your nervous system with vitamin B and magnesium becomes more than supplementation, it's an act of self-honoring. You are rebuilding a new home within yourself, one where your nervous system no longer has to be in survival mode, one where rest is a right, not a reward. Financially, you may begin to realize how your prosperity was tied to your people-pleasing. How you gave away time, energy, and talent without proper return because somewhere, subconsciously, you were taught that love must be earned through labor. But this season invites you to rewrite that belief. Create a plan, even a small one, that aligns your resources with your real priorities. Maybe that means building an emergency fund, or finally saying no to a job that drains you. You don't have to leap, you just have to begin. And the universe will meet you in that momentum. In love, the revelations will be softer but no less real. You'll recognize who drains you by how heavy you feel after spending time with them. You'll know who uplifts you by how your chest relaxes in their presence. Love is not supposed to make you anxious. It's not supposed to leave you guessing, or have you waking up in the middle of the night wondering what you did wrong. Love is a soft place to land. It's gratitude in motion. And if you haven't felt that yet, it's not because it doesn't exist, it's because your spirit was too busy surviving to receive it. Now that survival is no longer the goal, your next chapter becomes about thriving. The clarity brought by the tower and the joy offered by the sun are not opposites, they are complements. One clears the ground. The other plants the seed. You are stepping into a chapter where everything that once confused you begins to make sense. and everything that once hurt you begins to heal. You are no longer choosing from fear. You are choosing from alignment. From that space, all good things grow. Of all the truths we've explored in this journey, perhaps the most powerful is this: you get to choose. No matter how long you've walked in cycles of pain, no matter how many times you've tolerated what didn't honor you, you have never been powerless. You were just waiting for the moment your soul felt safe enough to rise. And Scorpio, that moment is now. You are not a prisoner of your past, nor a product of others' expectations. You are the keeper of your own flame, and the architect of your rebirth. You've seen what happens when you give too much. You felt what it's like to stay quiet just to keep the peace. And now, through the light of truth, you see clearly who honors your heart and who only shows up to hold it when it serves their comfort. But this is the moment where everything shifts. Not through blame. Not through force. But through choice. You get to choose how your energy is used, where your love is given, and how your story unfolds from here. So I invite you to sit with this question: what would change in your life if you believed, fully and unapologetically, that you are worthy of joy without struggle? That love does not require you to shrink. That abundance doesn't have to be earned through burnout. What if today was the day you stopped waiting for permission and started reclaiming your space in the world, not by fighting for it, but by stepping into it with quiet confidence? Transformation doesn't always look like fire. Sometimes it looks like a boundary spoken in a calm voice. Sometimes it looks like a phone you don't answer, a relationship you stop watering, a morning routine that prioritizes your peace. Your healing is not loud. It's sacred. And every step you take toward alignment, no matter how small, is a declaration to the universe that you are ready for more. More love that nourishes. More work that excites. More rest that restores. More days where your joy is not borrowed or bargained for, but simply yours. And if this message resonated with you, if something stirred inside you, like a truth long forgotten but suddenly remembered, I want to invite you to anchor it in. Write it down. Claim it with your voice. Leave a comment below and say, "I choose myself," or "I accept the transformation the universe has for me." Not for me. Not for this channel. But for your soul. For the version of you that's been quietly waiting for your own permission to rise. And before we part ways today, let me take a moment to thank you. Your presence here is not taken lightly. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe to Miracle of the Sign, you are helping us build something much bigger than a YouTube channel. You're helping create a space for spiritual healing, emotional truth, and personal empowerment in a world that desperately needs it. You are part of that shift. You are part of that light. And I'm so deeply grateful that you chose to be here. Scorpio, your path from here is bright, not because everything will be easy, but because you're no longer walking it in denial. You're walking it with truth. With clarity. With trust in the quiet power within you. And as always, I encourage you to stay close. We have more to uncover together. In the next video, we'll explore the new door opening for you after the 15th. And perhaps even the quiet soul who's been praying for your breakthrough all along. Until then, protect your peace. Guard your light. And never forget you are the one who chooses your destiny. The universe has been waiting for you to say yes.